Jumping into top 4 of Riley's Retro number 8, we were going to be seeing Connor here on our point of view with the Volcanion deck up against Mike with the Vespiquen deck. And Tyson, how are you thinking this one's going to play out? What's your prediction? We got a prediction in chat, but what's yours?
So the way you said it was perfect. It's, you have the fire weakness going for you, but you're also giving up an extra prize card with that Volcanion EX. So I think my money's going to be on Bees. If they can do, play their hand correctly, I think they can end up walking away with it. So that's where I'd wager my money at.
And it's interesting because the steam ups can be used to fuel this baby Volcanion. So baby Volcanion, which we're going to see coming down at some point, can use the power heater attack. It does 20 damage base and accelerates energy to your bench Pokemon from the discard pile. And with Volcanion EX's steam up, you can boost that damage by 30 for each steam up used. And the fire weakness, you can actually take one-hit KOs on Vespiquen, which has that fire weakness. You can take those out with just a single energy on power heater. And that's your one prizer in this matchup. You see that baby Volcanion there coming down. But one thing that's important to note about that strategy is that the Volcanion EXs have to be in play for that to be the case. You have to use that steam up by discarding a fire from your hand to use the ability of that Volcanion being in play. And you see the, thank you so much, Sable, for the resub. Your finger slipped. Thank you for the prime sub, though. Hate when that happens. Yeah, appreciate it so much. Thank you, and welcome to the Riley Cinematic Universe. Appreciate that. Appreciate you stopping by. Just to finish that point quickly, though. So you see here we have to have 2 EXs in play. So while you can use this power heater to take KOs and have a 1 prizer in the active, Vespiquen can very easily just go Lysander your 2 prizer KO, Lysander your Shaman KO, and all sorts of things like that. So while it seems like it's a little bit heavily favored or skewed a little bit more in Volcanion's favor, the Vespiquen deck can just say, well, I'm going to ignore your 1 prizer, give me the 2 prizer, and I'll take 2 prizes. So we'll see how it plays out.
Never underestimate the power of Bees.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see how this comes down with some well-timed Lysanders. This can be pretty much anyone's game, though. So,
and we're looking at the hands here too for Volcanion, and we have a KO lined up on the active, and we didn't mention this yet, but this Volcanion list is playing the Pokemon Catcher build. You do see the Pokemon Catcher there in hand, and it is noteworthy that this Pokemon Catcher was the coin flip variety. So this was not like a free Gus like it was back in 2014. This is you have to flip for it. It's not a guarantee, but it is like another way that Volcanion can race out to early prize leads and can actually even take out things like that Shaman that just hit the bench later in the game.
To also help the Volcanion with their prize trade as well, because not only do they hit for weakness, but because that's an extra prize card sitting there right on the bench, that can really just swing things back in their favor. So see what has to come from here. It seems like they both got off to a pretty good start, though. They're getting things in the discard pile, at least Pokemon wise. There's at least some fire energy, if I remember, and Darkrai's side. Well, that's Connor.
Connor,
his name. Yeah, Connor's, so he should be able to have a great power eater for a knockout and be able to accelerate energy back onto some Volcanions if he chooses to. Yeah,
and we did just see, though, there were 2 DCEs in Mike's discard pile there, so I think played the special charge, got those back, but that's, you had to waste that special charge to get there. I didn't quite catch how those ended up in the discard pile, but a little unfortunate. And we see the Giovanni's Scheme in hand for Connor, which is an interesting card. You probably just see it to draw some cards here, but it has 2 different effects on it. You can either draw until you have 5 cards in hand, or it makes all of your Pokemon's attacks do 20 more damage to your opponent's active during that turn, which could boost up the damage like on this power heater. It's kind of like another steam up, really, so you're able to hit maybe like a 180 against something like a Darkrai or an Evital EX, which won't be really relevant in this matchup, but a funny little tech card, a fun little card that is included in here. And then later in Sun and Moon, Giovanni's Scheme was actually merged into one single card in Professor Kukui, which basically did the same thing of those two effects. Just put them together, which is kind of made Giovanni's scheme like the most irrelevant supporter ever after that point.
Draw 2 cards and do 20 more.
Right.
Well, just, why not both?
Why not both?
Right, and Abyssal Hand is online now, so should be able to stay away from any dead hands from here on out, which is always nice. Consistency is a huge thing when you're coming into these tournaments. Don't want to, especially in best of ones. We are in best of 3 now, but
correct, yeah.
When you're fighting through best of ones, you never want to have to take an L just because you drew dead.
We do see though Mike is lining up for a Sky Return, so this is pretty good because it does set up this Volcanion with some damage on it. But most importantly, I think it takes the Shaman EX out of play. That 2 prizes is now going to go back to Mike's hand and leave the board, which is, you don't want to deny those prizes from this Volcanion deck if you're able to do so.
And I love the idea of not putting out a Vespiquen. It forces him to dig harder if he wants to get a knockout on one of them. He still might be able to, he's going to get the knockout on the Klefki, but being able to keep your bees alive is, so, and a whiff there.
And there's no Lysander available, so we'll have to just settle to take this KO on the Comfey. And a very heads-up play there from Connor of actually discarding that other Volcanion EX, because now, like that strategy I was mentioning earlier in the game of being able to ignore this baby Volcanion in the active and go after the 2 prizes on the bench, there doesn't actually exist. There are 6 prizes worth of 3 Pokemon. So now you're going to actually have to take that 7th prize, take an additional KO to win the game from the Vespiquen perspective here. And we do see that Klefki go down.
And they are 4 prizes to 6 already, so Vespiquen is on the back foot, but it is one of those decks where you do need a couple turns to get started because you don't do too much damage if there isn't that many Pokemon in your discard pile.
Right, and that's something that this Vespiquen deck, we had rotated to Primal Clash, so there was no Battle Compressor. Phantom Forces was out of the format, and there was no actually wait, was there? No, there was no Battle Compressor in this format, right? I'm thinking about it, like
I don't believe so.
No, we had VS Seeker was reprinted in there was a secret rare, that's what it was, because there was a secret rare in Ancient Origins or Roaring Skies or one of those sets. So there's no Battle Compressor is the important part. So you had to get your Pokemon into the discard pile with Ultra Ball, Acro Bike, or you see the Klefki and the Unown combination to get this Pokemon in the discard pile to beef up that Bee Revenge attack. And that's what made this deck a little bit slower in this format than it was in formats where you had that Battle Compressor, you could just turbo through your deck. But in this point, we did not have that, and Bees is a little bit slower because of that.
Yes, but I do believe with that Unown Klefki combination, there is enough Pokemon in the discard pile to take a knockout on these baby Volcanions now. So if it is up to Connor now to make sure that he can keep prizes up in the active position.
Yeah, and it's only
too much longer.
We only needed 5 in the discard pile to pick up that KO, which was nice. And we have this Volcanion ready to go, the baby Volcanion ready to take this prize. But at a certain point, we might have to shift into a different attacker. And this is where it gets a little bit sketchy for Volcanion, because you need to start getting more attackers set up. And obviously you can use this Power Heater to charge both of these Pokemon on the bench up, but you still have to take your remaining 3 prizes after this Volcanion takes out this active Vespiquen. So you don't currently have enough attackers in play to take this out. We do find the other Volcanion EX though off that Sycamore, so that will be nice to have another attacker potentially ready to go in the future turns.
He's got 11 Pokemon in the discard pile.
Yeah, so something like this Shaman is going to be a prime target. Again, at a certain point, Vespiquen is going to want to chase down some of those 2 prizers to put the prize race in their favor that much more. And it's great, we talked about this before with the Power Heater, taking those prizes for 1 energy, but it also accelerates the energy into play. And now you see that we have 2 Pokemon, obviously the baby Volcanion on the bench needing 1 more energy to attack. But you're just setting up your bench at the same time that you're taking KOs, you're taking prizes and still winning the game. You're also setting up your future attackers. And we didn't see that Volcanion EX in Connor's hand hit the bench. I think it's an interesting choice because it could be end out of their hand and they might lose access to that later in the game. They are going to need a way to pick up these final 3 prizes after this active goes down here. Although it is not guaranteed that the active goes down, we do still have to find a DCE to attack with.
That is our second and final special charge device. So there is 4 energy left for Michael to be using. If he can't just take out single prize knockouts with these energies now. Every single one has to be used to take, you know, multiple prize knockouts now. If we just keep it, I don't know if Connor has a way to recycle these single prizers, but at some point
I don't believe so, no. And we see the lucky helmet come down. Yeah, and this is where again we go back to that. Yeah, it's a draw too. It's very rarely seen outside of the Gyarados deck. But yeah, lucky helmet. Yeah, exactly, Vinny. Lucky helmet though, when the Pokemon that has that lucky helmet attached to it is, I think it's knocked out or damaged, or one of the two, I don't recall exactly, but you actually draw 2 cards when it is procced there. So just a way to help against late game end, something to, you know, just help your deck get a little bit more value out of your attackers and everything like that. Just these cards that are able to burn through your deck a lot faster. Sprinkler saying he was right. I was right. It was a slaughter. Oh, is that from the other matchup? You're saying is the slaughter? We did actually have the choice to feature our 1-4 matchup, which was Evital Garb against a Raikou deck. But of course, Raikou hitting for lightning weakness into that Evital, we decided that that probably was going to end very quickly.
And
yeah,
quick swift victory.
Swift 2-0, yeah.
Oh.
So Raikou into the finals of our Riders Retro number 8. What are my thoughts on Dustox G Diamond Pearl 63? Do I have to go back and read this thing from Discord? Oh my god. What channel was it in? You know, I'm just gonna Google it. That's probably faster. All right, Tyson, you take over while I redeem this. I pay out this.
All right. Well, it looks like we're going to be Vespiquen taking a knockout on this last single prize here. Unless actually we might be. I don't recall how much energy or Pokemon are in the discard pile, but I think we're gonna pick up a KO on this Shaman over here, going down to 2 prizes. Unless they do have enough to take out on a Volcanion, which it looks like nope. It's just gonna go take out this Shaman, going down to 2 prizes. This first game is really coming down to the wire. It'll be interesting with just 3 cards left in deck for Mike. If he has access to another boss, he should be able to pick up that last. Yeah, 220 is going to have enough to take a knockout on either one of these Volcanion EXs. So he's just going to need to find access to his last boss. Wait,
it's not real, is it? This card doesn't exist. Hold up. Am I getting memed on right now? That card's not real, is it?
Right,
it's real.
Artillery.
It doesn't exist anywhere on the internet, so it must be fake. That's my thoughts on it. It's not real. Those are my thoughts.
His last prize card. If Mike can find his last DC and boss.
And a Lysander. Yes, well we have the. And there is the Lysander.
Oh,
wow.
My goodness. I will say I cannot the bees. Mike played bees.
Yeah.
Mike played
masterfully.
Bees perfectly. That was amazing. Did with hold on to those last little pieces.
Right.
Prize cards. Effectively shutting off that 7th prize turn. He didn't want that. He also didn't have time to with the prize going down to 1 prize card left on his opponent's side. He knew he had to act right then and there, and I think he played that pretty much perfectly.
It's not real. A picture can be photoshopped, okay? Well, here are my thoughts on it. It's not good. There you go. There are my thoughts. I don't believe that card is real. I believe I'm getting lied to right now. But anyway, moving into this game 2. And the opening here for looking at Connor's hand is not the greatest. Hoping that these Trainer's Mail can net maybe an Ultra Ball, thin out this hand a little bit for that Shaman's setup on the following turn. I agree with Eddie.
He's probably hoping to be able to get a Pokemon set up without having to use the Shaman, because it was the downfall for him last game, but see what he opts to do here. I do enjoy this format a lot because you felt so much easier, like, safer discarding your supporters because you had such a thick line of VS seekers. As in standard format, once you say goodbye to a supporter, especially if it's a one-up, you won't likely see it again unless you're running that pal pad. But does not do the same thing as a VS seeker. I do miss that card. Like, we were going to set up 4-6 though. At least it was a clean shaman if you had to put it down.
Thick line of supporters, yes. Yeah, yes, Tyson Slay.
I would like the viewers to know that I said thick with a CK. Thank you.
I'll have to get some. I was trying to join too. Oh, okay, yeah.
That is unfortunate that he just whiffed the knockout by 10 HP. Was not able to find a second Volcanion EX to take that knockout on that unknown. It's most likely going to retreat to the bench and then discard itself to save itself from taking a free prize card.
It works out and awesome. Thanks for joining the Discord. Super happy to see you there. Oh, what's up, Matt in chat? Okay. Chatting with Matt. Nightbot doesn't lie. That's true. Yeah, ask Nightbot anything about Volcanion. It knows. It knows. But yeah, me getting back into the game here. You know, it's so funny to see the whiffed KO on this this unknown. Feels more like chat, man. Good one, Biddy. Very unfortunate to see the whiffed KO on that unknown, and you know, for a deck like Volcanion that can really race out to early prize leads, you never think about unknown with that 60 HP being a tank, being a wall, but it does require 2 steam ups or a steam up plus a fighting fury belt to pick up that KO, so kind of a tank in this situation.
It is unfortunate because that prize card was pretty important in the grand scheme of things, especially if the Beast player is able to find this 11th Pokemon in the discard pile.
Which is a lot to ask. Yeah, it's a lot to ask this early in the game, but definitely possible. You know, you have the Ultra Balls, the Acrobikes, the Sycamores, all kinds of cards, the Unknowns, and Klefkis themselves.
Looks like we're going to opt for a setup, thankfully. Going to make sure... Oh, did not discard the Unknown. Interesting. Opting to let it get knocked out. I think that's fine, though. You don't want to obviously have any of your Bees get knocked out prematurely. You want to have as many set up on your board.
Right, you definitely value the attacker more. And we do get the Sky Return, so we get the 30 damage in play, plus that Shaman comes back to the hand, so now you can reuse that setup ability if you need to. But of course, Vespiquen does not want to put that Shaman back into play. We've talked about the prize trade at this point and how relevant it is for the Vespiquen deck, but you really want to keep those Shamans, those 2 prizers, out of play and force Volcanion through all of these single prizers, because we saw in the last game how advantageous it was that all of these 2 prizers had to be in play, especially that Shaman just sitting on the bench with 110 HP.
Here comes the Teammates, one of the most busted supporter cards in this format, letting you search up for 2 cards of your choice and put them into your hand. One of your Pokemon do have to be knocked out, but when you're playing a deck like Bees, you're kind of used to it by now. Yeah,
everything's getting knocked out every turn. This Teammates is a very live card half the time. And it's really great at setting up these kind of plays where maybe you want to get more Pokemon in this card pile, or you need to get that DCE, since it's really hard to search out the DCEs themselves. You know, you have to just kind of draw them naturally, which you still can do, of course, but... wow, someone bet 1k on Volcanion is getting destroyed right now. Yes, we do have some predictions going on in the Twitch chat live on stream here. And people trying to save up their Stardust, my channel points, to get any of my wonderful rewards. I'm trying to gatekeep Vinny from getting my reward to send a tweet from my account. That is my current highest reward. You can send or I have to send a tweet with a word of your choosing within reason. But yeah, Vinny keeps trying to save up for it, and I keep saying I'm gonna raise the price because, you know, inflation, baby. But
so right.
But we see the farewell letter there.
That should be enough to take a knockout now. But
I agree, Patrick. Yeah.
Mike is going to go back with another Sky Return here.
Yeah.
Need 2 plays off the bench. As we saw in the first game, it's okay to go down a couple prizes as the Bees, because you end up just taking a couple Lysander plays at the end to get those last 4 prize cards.
Twitter needs to know about Dustox G. Yeah, I don't know. YouTube, y'all can go try to see if you can find Dustox G in existence, because I'm convinced it doesn't agree. Yeah, or it doesn't agree. It doesn't exist.
I think it did really well when it was paired with Volcanion in 2015. So it
exactly. Yeah.
I don't.
Good combo. Needs to know about Dustox G. 42,174 points away for now.
For now.
For now. That can change, don't worry. No, all about these stacks performance, which only makes the betting more fun. That's true. You kind of just like flip a coin, right? Here comes the VS Seeker though, and do we have enough? I saw the Ultra Ball getting rid of a bunch. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Pokemon in the discard pile, so weird. One more gets us a KO on that Shaman on the bench. Just YOLO, yeah.
Maybe we're gonna get twins.
Yeah, you could go for the teammates here, but then you're forced to taking the KO on the active, so there might be a way to pick up an additional Pokemon in the discard pile, or you could just smack something like this Volcanion, maybe? Wow, interesting. Okay. Yeah, 10 short on the KO on that Shaman EX feels bad, and you just kind of want to take a prize. Yeah.
Yeah, the play that they went for makes me think that there's still something else in their hand, because if they didn't have too much else going on, they probably would have opted to do teammates or,
yeah.
So knowing that information, I would probably try and see if there's a way to get an end going on. It does not look like there's access to that. Not too much in their hand at all. Unfortunate.
Yeah, and an interesting choice. The Fisherman makes sense because you do want to get more energy in play. You can take this KO with Power Heater if you use that Steam Up, but you know, you can get some more energy in play. It's a little bit awkward though.
There's some more.
Yeah, have some more fire. How about that?
Once you play it too much energy, you'll always run into it, whether you want to or not. So here's a Revitalizer. Gonna bring back the bees.
Return of the bees. And we already have the DCE
still at 100
there.
damage right now, so they are 3 Pokemon shy of a knockout.
Right, that Revitalizer, while you get some attackers back, it does come at the cost of lowering your damage output because you just put Pokemon from your discard pile back into your hand. So kind of a double-edged sword. Like, obviously you need your attackers, but then you just lower your damage output a little bit. So, and Mike's hand has been a little bit weird. There's a Sycamore, though.
See what he ends up getting rid of.
A lot of Pokemon.
Yeah, I think there was 3 in there, so that should be enough to pick up the knockout.
The Acrobike as well, and it was very important to get this Combi back on the bench to have attackers in the future turns. Do also have the Remoraid too, and a DCE and the Lucky Helmet. So this is actually turning into a great turn. We pick up just a little bit over the KO there. So building up to a big B Revenge, hopefully to take out those 2 multi-prizers just waiting on the bench.
Seems like it's just mirroring what happened in game 1 here.
And we're going to see the Giovanni's scheme played to draw some cards here, which is not really the supporter of choice you want to be going with, but drawing 3 cards, still not the best.
Not the cards you want either.
No. You can go get a second Shaman, though. The Ultra Ball at least serving, or excuse me, the Giovanni's scheme. Wow, okay, interesting.
I think having a VS Seeker, knowing that you can at least draw up to 5 cards next turn, seems fine enough.
Yeah, and you do get to set up more attackers too.
Probably not wanting to have a second easily knocked out Pokemon, because as it stands, he's still, I think, a couple Pokemon short of getting a knockout in these Volcanions. But
this is the critical turn, though. But this is the critical turn because Vespiquen needs to go, because there's only 2 prizes remaining for Volcanion, for our Volcanion player. We do need to see Gust KO into Gust KO. Otherwise, this single prize Volcanion here with a single Steam Up can take out the final 2 prizes, or even the Volcanic Heat with the EX. So you really need to see a KO. There's the Lysander and the Shaman. So once again, going right into the strategy that Mike played in the first game. Would love to see another Combi come down here, though. We need another attacker for the following turn, and they should have 2 Combi left in the deck. See if they can find one.
There is no Forest of Giant Plants, so if there is not a Combi coming down, there will not be another attacker. And when your opponent only has 2 prize cards left, essentially meaning they have 2 turns left to attack, you kind of can't afford to miss that. So see if he's able to find anything.
Yeah, it's a very precarious position here. Something that we hadn't really looked at, I guess it probably doesn't work out this way because you have this energy retrieval in hand, but we could see a situation where maybe that Volcanion with 1 energy on it, that EX on the bench, gets Lysandered and trapped if Mike whips a Combi this turn. And wow, Mike just concedes. Wow,
he already did
the
use
Combi.
Lysander on that Shaman, so knowing that they could probably just attach, retreat, and knock out, there isn't too much left you could do. All right, Riley, if you put yourself into the mind of this Raikou player, if you were watching this other top 4 play out, who would you rather face? What do you think is the better matchup for you in the finals?
So I would say Volcanion for the same reason that I think this matchup is slightly B's favored, ever so slightly, because of that prize trade, right? It goes back to the the Raikou deck has a huge emphasis on single prizers that can swing for big damage. So you want to be able to target down multi-prizers. You can prey on those lightning weak Shaman. And I would say that Volcanion is probably a more favored matchup for Raikou. But Volcanion's a very fast and aggressive deck. It has max elixirs. It has the steam ups that you can use to take KOs with Power Heater. So it could go either way. But I think if I were that Raikou player, I'd be saying, you know what? I kind of would rather see this Volcanion. Bees, obviously, it's a single prize matchup. It kind of, a single prize slugfest. So it could still be a fine matchup for Raikou. The Raikou is actually a pretty tanky 1-prizer, so that could still be a pretty good matchup. But I think that I'd probably rather see this Volcanion deck in my initial impression. I don't think I've ever played that matchup, though, to be honest.
Yeah, it's probably not a matchup that a lot of people tech or think about before going into a tournament.
Yeah, that's true. Bees needs the EV line with Vaporeon, so that I don't think that was played at all in this time because you had like the Garbodor and stuff like that. And that's one thing we didn't talk about at all, actually, in this matchup and this preview and anything like that is this Vespiquen deck actually plays Garbodor, which can turn off those abilities. So we could actually see Mike choosing to go in with the Garbotoxin at some point in this series and turn off the access to those steam up abilities, which we've seen used to huge relevance to pick up KOs with Power Heater. But it does have the drawback of turning off things like your Abyssal Hand and the unowned Feral Letter, and your own Shamans and stuff like that. So it's a high risk, high reward kind of concept. But we'll see if Mike opts for it in this one.
Double tails.
Sushi Master, yes.
I had a chance to get.
Thanks for stopping in, Trainer Red. Hope you're doing well.
Does not have a lot to work with this hand, unfortunately.
Ooh, yeah, this is
extra 2 cards. Okay, there we go. Sometimes just drawing an extra couple cards can make your dead hand become a live one.
Well, we do have this Hoopa though, so you can go and get something like a Shaman, but the Ultra Ball being found is really huge since you can thin out your hand a little bit and get something like some of these Volcanions in play. We do have that one Shaman grabbing the triple Volcanion almost, but we go in with the Volcanions, and now there's another Pokemon in play, another 2-prizer in play, and did we just get rid of the Shaman? Interesting.
It seems correct just because, again, you don't want those easy 2-prizers there. I don't hate it. Saying, though, because of this hand, if he had happened to hit one of those heads on those catchers early on, he would have been able to take a knockout on that Combi, which would have put him very far ahead.
And I like this play a lot. This is a very heads-up play from Connor, putting the Fire Energy on the Hoopa instead of on the other Volcanion. And this is important because that Hoopa does have a 2 retreat cost, and it does not currently have a Float Stone. So this could be something that Mike was targeting down on the following turn, is bring up that Hoopa with a Lysander, just try to 2-shot it and strand it in the active. And Connor proactively playing around that by attaching a Fire Energy to it. Very, very heads-up play.
Nothing feels worse than feeling like you have a really good, strong board position and they go boss and you just kind of have to draw pass for a few turns.
Yeah, and you're just like, wow, wish I could do something about this.
So it's always nice to think a little farther ahead in games. Seems, you know, like in most times you look at your hand, you're just kind of going like, okay, what can I do right now in the moment? What helps me out right here and there? But trying to think a little bit about what your opponent can have can really just go from having a couple wins here and there to putting yourself up above like another whole skill level here, which is pretty well shown by these players right here. I guess that's why they're in top 4, huh?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, definitely. And Connor has been doing pretty well in our events lately as well. Mike Fouché on the other side here with this Vespiquen deck, of course. Some viewers might recognize that name. Player who's been playing for a very, very long time at a high level. But no stranger to, you know, top cut at events, especially in these older formats. So yeah, not surprised to see Mike here and playing this Bees deck to perfection. And I was actually just taking a look at their list, and they aren't playing the Alex Hill list from EUIC, which played, I think it played more than a 1/1 Garbodor, but this list does only play a 1/1 Garbodor and 2 Floatstone. So that option I was mentioning earlier about going in with the Garbotoxin might not be nearly as easy to pull off. And they also only play 3 VS Seeker. So those 2 Lysanders, the 3 VS Seekers, those going to be the Gust cards to really clinch the prize trade in their favor. But those could be a little bit harder to find with only 3 copies. You might have to waste them on Ends or Sycamores. And Vinny with the gift sub over to Patrick. Thank you for the gift sub. Patrick, welcome to the Riley Cinematic Universe. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Hello, Gabby.
Once again, we're going to have the Volcanion player go up to 4 prizes to 6. Seems like this is...
Ooh, we could take out the Shaman, though.
Things are looking very sketchy right now for Bees.
Well, but this is interesting, though. So we need to get, what, triple Steam Up to take the KO with Power Heater here? And we find it. Wow.
We did have Energy Retrieval just in case, but not having to use that card is very huge. Let's see if we can get a hit off of Max Elixir. Does not seem like it, but it's not that important right now, especially with a Power Heater going off. We're going to be able to power up some back attackers, but
yeah,
this is very scary now. This is the first time that we were, the Bees have put a Shaman in play without being able to Sky Return it.
Yeah, exactly.
You see why they try to do that so often.
Yeah, and wow, yep. And Mike
just gonna scoop. Sees the writing on the wall. Love saying
there you go. There you go, Tyson.
No way for him to overcome 6 prizes. GG.
Yeah. And there we will see Connor in the finals with Volcanion.